Interested in hearing about a scary story? Well, if so, stick around when I chat about No Exit by Taylor Adams. Hey friends, Roger here. So I tend to love stories where people are trapped together, cut off from the rest of the world with a murderer villain in their midst. So when this novel about a bunch of travelers stranded at a rest stop during a blizzard came to my attention, I knew that I had to read it. So No Exit. Let's put it the right way. So No Exit is a super creepy, edgy, heart-in-your-throat thrill ride that follows our main character, Darby Thorne, who, while on her way to Utah to see her dying mother, gets caught in a savage blizzard in the Colorado mountains. So the roads get worse and worse, and finally, unable to navigate them or not daring to navigate them any further, she is pretty much forced to wait out the rest of the storm at a rest area where there are 4 other strangers, as she discovers. So concerned that her family might wonder where she is, she steps outside hoping to get a cell signal in order to call them, but of course there's no reception. So as she passes by one of the vehicles in the parking lot, she looks in the window and to her horror sees a little girl locked inside of a dog crate inside the vehicle. So even though Darby realizes now that one of the 4 people inside is a kidnapper, or maybe worse, she has no choice but to act. I mean, this is something she cannot ignore, and she is determined to somehow save the girl. And of course, she has to do it without tipping off the kidnapper that she knows and getting everybody else inside killed in the process. But first, she'll need to figure out who the kidnapper is and who can be trusted enough to ask for help in freeing the girl. So, of course, the question here is, who is the villain and who can and cannot be trusted? Actually, that's 2 questions. So as it turns out, there's a hell of a lot more to her fellow passengers than meets the eye. And Darby soon finds out that navigating those uncertain waters is a lot more difficult than she initially imagined. She also quickly learns that nothing is as it seems, and everyone in the room has secrets, which of course are 2 of my favorite tropes. Also, trust no one. So the story takes off with a bang and does not let up until the final jaw-dropping pages. To say that it's fast-paced is an understatement, as our brave protagonist finds herself in one harrowing and deadly situation after another. And I really love the speed and pacing of this story as it hurtles along at breakneck speed, never giving you the opportunity to even catch your breath. I found myself so engrossed in the plot of this book that I could not put it down, and I ended up reading hours past my bedtime because I had to know what happened. It's also chock full of surprising and shocking twists and turns, most of all which I did not see coming. And let me tell you, the first one was a doozy. So yeah, there was definitely some brilliant storytelling here as the author continuously ratcheted up the tension page after page after page. And we couldn't help but wonder whether Darby is going to be the hero of the story or the victim. That is to say, will she outsmart the dirtbag or will they outsmart her? So I do have to say that I was really surprised by how violent, bloody, and gory the novel was. Something that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect it. Let's just say that I'll never look at a nail gun again without shuddering and thinking about this story. So that being said, though this may not be a novel for those who dislike violence and or are particularly squeamish, as some of you might find it exceptionally gruesome. There are lots of potentially triggering situations in the book, so be warned if you're more of a sensitive reader. Hell, this book even gave me nightmares, and I never get nightmares from novels. I actually had a nightmare that I was at a rest stop and I was running from someone, and so I lay down in the snowbank face down, pretending I was dead so that the killer would realize that I was alive. So I woke up thinking, where in the hell did that come from? And then all of a sudden I remembered this book. I thought, oh my God, that book gave me a nightmare. So yeah, which is very unusual for me because I read some pretty scary stuff and I typically don't get nightmares. But this one, man, this is something else. It's a dark, edgy, intense, and claustrophobic game of cat and mouse in an absolutely chilling setting. I've always found rest stops a tad creepy as it is, and this book certainly reinforced that feeling. In addition, No Exit was unsettling. It was scary, nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing, suspenseful, and clever. And though parts of it were graphic and horrifying, I found the story mesmerizing and compelling. It's a disturbing, desperate novel, which I found quite different than other thrillers, and I found the inventive storyline quite refreshing, actually. And the psychotic villain was utterly evil and bone-chilling. I also really liked Darby's character in the book. She's delightfully complex, often impulsive, and incredibly brave, tenacious, and noble, who had to make some pretty impossible decisions and put her life on the line to save a little girl, even when the odds were not in her favor. So I enjoyed seeing her character evolve throughout the story, as she went from being kind of a self-centered person to someone who would risk their life for a stranger. So all in all, No Exit is a highly suspenseful, nail-biting psychological thriller that leaves you with one simple question. What would you do? And I ended up giving this book 5 stars. So that is it for No Exit. Did you read this book? If so, let me know what you thought of it in the comments. And that about does it. As always, I thank you so much for watching and for joining me in this little book chat. I'm grateful for your support. And if you like this video, click the like button below as it really helps my channel out. And that about does it. I will talk to you in the next video. Roger and out.